It's not a bad view. I wish I was here to go and enjoy the beach, but unfortunately not. Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's Mark from Powersonic and Apprentice 1-to-1. We're back on our refurb over in Sands End. For those of you who've watched the earlier video, you'll see the builders have been busy behind me. We've got some plaster on the wall. I've also got some plasterboard and such here and there dotted around the place, and we can actually get some of the power on. I'm going to take you through the full thing so you can see how these things go down out on site. For those of you who are still on your learning journeys to qualify as electricians, this is an atypical refurb alongside a building crew, and we're going to show you it warts and all through the course of this little series of videos. We're going to go and have a look around the consumer unit which we're putting on down there, some of the temporary power and all of that good stuff. Before we get into it, I want to mention a new initiative we're starting in Apprentice 1-to-1. It's to try and help people over summer with their 18th edition regulations through the course of your retraining in a full-time study route, or if you're on a full-time trainee journey as a new school leaver or on a traditional apprenticeship. We want to try and offer a bit of help and support in understanding the wiring regulations. So we're going to set up some classes that we're going to run over the course of the internet. It is going to be alongside some properly qualified and super duper lecturers such as Craig Boost and Richard Harvey and Jamie Blatant. I'm going to take part as well. They're going to be running through the summer holidays. We're looking to trial this first with around 10 to 12 people who are a bit more experienced, so maybe already qualified electricians, put it towards them and have it snagged essentially. So if we can make improvements and tweaks to get the best possible result out of what we're putting forward, that's what we want to do. It is all going to be CPD certified and free to use. It's not going to be behind any YouTube membership paywall, or you're not going to have to pay a fee to take the course or anything like that. Totally free. And we'll be sharing all of those resources as well through my YouTube channel and the Apprentice 1-to-1 website for those people who don't get to take part themselves. So it's pretty exciting. We are looking at doing other things around 2391 and 2396 as well to really build this out, and it is really coming from the brains that are Craig Boost, and we're really excited to start with this in the coming weeks and months. Just to mention it, if you do want to take part, get in touch with me at mark@apprentice1to1.co.uk, and at the minute we're just looking for people who are helping us develop this course rather than take part in the actual course itself. Let's have a look around this one and get on with the video. So you see we've got our contacting board all on. There is going to be an SPD in this. We just popped a blank in for now. We're waiting on the wholesaler to supply us with one, but obviously we'll have the MCB and the SPD ready to go in there. We've got our final circuits. If you can see up the back of the board, these are all LSF, which is a little bit trickier to work with in terms of stripping it. Nathan's largely done this, so he's our level 2 apprentice with Matthew stepping in here and there to guide him. You see we've got our neutrals into the neutral bar up there, nicely dressed away with some cable ties. We've got all our earths in a lock up along here, and obviously these are going to be tested and we'll double over any ends that are needed at that stage. For now we've just loose fit them. I'll show you why as we move on with this video. And then we've got the contactum breakers. So you can see we've got a range of breakers along here. We've got our lighting ones down at this end. If that focuses in, you can see there the B6s. We've got our B20 radials. We've got some B32 ring final circuits, which would be the kitchen ring. Some other radial circuits, as you'll see, dropping off way down here. And then we've got our cooker and oven circuits on these slightly bigger cables. So we're going to move on and have a look around the rest of this install. The builders have, as I say, progressed, and down here they're running off a temporary supply at the minute. So we've got a little basic board for them, an RCD main switch, that's 63 amp, 30 milliamp, and then a little 32 amp circuit down here, just off a couple of double sockets. It is just for mixing and charging battery drills up. They're not running a great deal. We are hoping to drop a set of Henleys in somewhere here and energise bits of this board so we can get some lighting on to the top floor, and also some of the sockets that we can maybe get on up there as well, because the builder is staying here overnight on occasion. Obviously when we do that, we're going to take these line and neutrals out of all of the breakers that aren't currently in use, because we don't want loose ends powered up. Stick around, look around the rest of the install. So here we've got the kitchen area, and at the minute it's not quite set out as you would expect. We've still got a sink in. So you've got the socket up there. The guys have brought the oval tube into the back and used the all-around band to secure it, which is fantastic. Obviously you wouldn't have a socket, well you might actually now, but you wouldn't have a socket that near to the sink generally. That's all coming out. We've kind of got our feeds in, so you've got our oven feeds, some power around the place. We've left this in Kerpex because we wasn't entirely sure on the final kitchen plan, so we wanted it a little bit flexible. If that ends up not being the case, they can just be pulled out and repositioned. If it is the final position, we can pop it inside some suitable containment in the Flexicon and be nice and safe from any rodent ingress, because I'm not a fan of that, leaving cables under kickboards or even clipped to the wall. I just think you're asking for trouble if Mr. Mouse/Rat gets in. But for now we wanted to get some cables up to here. This is going to be the last bit the builder does, obviously, because he needs to use the toilet and wash basin while he's staying here, even if it does come with a bit of an audience. So you can see over here we've got the view out to the seaside. This is Sands End. It's a lovely little cafe down there for anyone who is visiting the area. Highly recommended. You can see up here there's been quite a bit of renovation on this hillside. They're hoping to put a balcony just down here. Still in with planning on that one, so we'll see how it pans out. This is one of the walls we've got plastered up, so obviously our cables drop down to the fuse box below through here. We've got power for, I think that's a speaker system. There is a socket that's gone missing. The builders plastered it over, so we've got a socket down here, another one there, but we know there's one up here for the wall-mounted TV. I think it lives here, so we're going to have a dig around, make sure we find that before it's plastered up, because it's always easier to sort later on. You'll see they haven't actually left all the beams exposed like I thought, so if you watch the first video, and I'll show you downstairs actually because the ceilings are still dropped, or not dropped as they were when they first started, but they were going to leave the lower level beams as well. They've now all been overboarded, and they've actually boarded over the thicker, deeper beams as well. We've actually got our spotlights above here, so they've all been measured and are set out through this room. We're just waiting for the plaster to go off. This has only been done yesterday. And then over this side again, we've got our spots all up there as well, and they've got the ends on, so as soon as we've cut the holes they drop straight down, we plug our lights in and away we go, which is fantastic. Switching position over here, as I showed you on the last little review of this one. Little socket on the hall for the Hoover or whatever. And then down here is where it gets a bit interesting, so this is changed quite substantially from last time. So we've got a little corner here with some power points, builder storing his material. There's a little understairs cupboard there. This is where the proposed new front door is going to go. So that boiler's coming out, all that's moving, and then they're going to knock in front door. You can see over here we did have the gas boiler there. It is still bonded, but it's been capped off. Obviously it is bringing in earth potential, so we're leaving that on for now, so we're not going to have an issue with anything we've got turned on for present, but that is due to be moved. Got our sockets down here. This is the new wall, so I'll step back out this way. So Matt is just at the front door on the way in there. This wall wasn't here, so we had a wall across here, and that was all open, but they're making this into a little store/entrancey area, I think. They've got one bedroom here, another bedroom over this side, which was the kitchen. Obviously all these are now disconnected. We've got our new feeds dropped in. These are the plugs. Obviously we can put them on the end of the spotlights ready to go, as I was talking about. And we've just got to wait on the builder now. They've got to get this all boarded out. It's how it goes when you're first fixing, working alongside other teams. We're just working through the building as and when we can, and it seems to be the case that they're going from the top down. So Matty's busy working on his tails over here. So we've got our new board, as I've showed. I'll just scoot across that again. So like I say, Nathan's largely done this with a bit of help from Matthew. Dropping down to our ring in here. And there's the temp board. We're just swapping some Henleys in, ready for the Mr. Meter Man to come and sort us out a power swap over, so we can get both those boards energised. And the reason being, we want to have power on these temporary sockets down here to make life easy for the builder, and also get some power into our board so we can energise upstairs, again, mainly for the builder more than anything else. So we're just trying to prep and make life as easy as possible. You can see Matty doing that up there. Up in this top floor, so again the views just gets better as you get higher up. This one's largely been plastered out up here now and finished, and this is where we're going to try and get the power on. So we've got a smoke detector to go up here. For now Matty's just popped a box over the end so he can do his testing. We've got the light switch socket. Again, we showed this on the last one. This is going to be a positive input ventilation system up here. At the minute it's just a junction box, so we can get the power running through and leave it safe. Sockets on. Again, this has been plastered, decorated. There's no energy on currently, but when we do that, we'll screw these back to the wall now. Again, there's a nice view out from this room up here. Lovely little cafe down there, for those of you familiar with Sandsend, recommend that. Nice breakfast. This is the bathroom. You can see with the spots, we've got these in now. They're all wired and powered. Well, will be powered when we turn the board on. You can see up there, these have the clip connectors as well, like I showed you downstairs. There's none out to show you right now, but they would be there. And as I said with this one, the light switch is outside the room, customer request. They wanted a physical switch and they didn't want it in this little walkway here, so it's gone there. We could, I suppose, have gone for a Kinetic or even put the light switch inside the room because we're far enough away from the shower, but customer's choice, they didn't want that. So we sorted that. That was going to be a shaver point, but they decided they don't want that there. So that's getting filled up. The builder's done that, not us, and it's been moved to over the other side of the room. Again, we've not done that, but we've made the end safe for now. Inside this one, we have a little look. This is builder's base camp, I think, but we've got our sockets on. He's got a little TV up here for himself. This is now disconnected. So we're going to get all the power on up to these sockets, so at least there's some functioning power for the builder to be able to light up and do his stuff and also remain safe. So we'll get this wiggled up and fixed to the ceiling. For those of you who watch the PIV videos, you'll know that's a massive opening that we cut in there. So we're just going to screw that up so it's nice and secure. The smokes, we've got battery ones for the time being because they'll just get wrecked with all the dust. So we're not going to put the mains powered ones on and uncover them. There's no point. While the builder's staying here, we want some smoke detection. So we're just going for some basic battery ones and hoping for the best on those. See out there? A little boat in the distance. So these are the Ansell light fittings I was talking about. You can see that there. So they're IP65. They are fire rated. And they are 5/7 watt LED selectable. So if you see on the driver up here, there's a little dial to move between 5 and 7 watts, depending on what you want to choose. And then on the back, you can also adjust the color output. So it ranges from 2,700 all the way up to 6,000. So it gives you some real options. When you've got to the fitting stage, if the customer's not quite happy with the light output, it's not a case of having to replace fittings. You can just adjust some buttons and get things that they like. And again, great for when we're doing work alongside builders because we can put the plugs on the end, get it all wired ready for us to be able to do testing and such, so we can be happy that our cabling's okay. And then at second fix, once we're at this stage with the ceiling painted and the plastering done, it's just a case of plugging them in and away we go. So you can see we've got our board there now. We're just running through some dead tests. So we've got this end circuit here, which is the top floor lights, and we've got the top floor power. So we're doing some IR tests on those two circuits, and we're going to do our R1, R2s and such, and make sure we've got our continuity of protective conductors and all of that good stuff ready for the meter man to come and give us some power so we can do our live tests. You see we've pulled all those out the breakers, cut the ends off, so they're not going to receive any power, and we can have reasonable confidence nobody's going to hurt themselves. We've currently got the tails just loose fit, so we've popped a little tie onto the wall there just to try and give them a bit of security. Pops into our Henley block and then down to this temp board. This is all going to end up in a cupboard in the end, so it's all going to be out of sight and mind to a point. There is some work to do on the supplier's side. Obviously that's coming through the window at the minute into the service head, and once that's sorted out we can make this look a bit nicer as we normally do, but for the minute it's safe and functional. Tails are secured, temporary board which was left just for the builder really to make use of. It's 32 amp circuit, it's on the ground floor, it saves trips and extension leads right up to the top floor just because we've got some power up there whilst he gets on with the rest of the stuff. We'll go upstairs, I'll show you the Ansell lighting once we've got this powered with a lid on and everything's safe, and we'll have a look at the different outputs it gives us based on the selections I showed you earlier in this video. Right, we'll have a look at these now. We've got the power on, so you've got some different colour outputs around the room, so we've not set any of these up as yet. And I don't believe you should adjust these while the power is on because you could potentially maybe damage something, I think, but we're going to do that anyway. You see at the minute we're in the 7 watts. If I swing it over to 5, I don't know how that's coming across on camera, but it does get ever so slightly brighter and dimmer. So that's the 5 watts, that's the 7 watts. And then again on the back with a colour output, see that swinger through. So if we're in the effectively daylight white, that's at 7 watts. And then that's just dropped down. If it's better sideways on. You see that getting a bit brighter. Look at the wall here. I can notice at 7 watts it is noticeably brighter. So it's obviously kicking out a bit more light. Again, I'm not sure if you should be fiddling around with those with the power on, mainly to potentially damage the equipment, I guess, because there's nothing live you could touch. And we know what consumers are like. They're going to do all of that stuff anyway. And it's the only way I could really think to demonstrate it to you now. So we're going to set these up to the same sort of colour code. I'm just going to leave them on daylight white for now. If they need changing, they can be changed later on. And again, we'll set them back to the 5 watts. It's just nice if you find out once you've put your lighting in, it's not quite bright enough. You've got the option just to bang the power up a little bit. Just the light colour output if the customer's saying that's a bit too bright for us, we'd like something a bit more natural light coloured, as this is here with the warm white, as opposed to the cool white, and then over here, the daylight white. We've got Matthew just running through his LS test here with the MFT Pro. So we just stuff our lead straight into the socket outlet, get you in nice and close to the screen. This has obviously got an RCD in circuit, so it takes a little bit longer to do the test, and we might have some uplift through it. So you've got 0.42 ohms on the LN and 0.49 on the LPE, as you would expect, because this is twin and CPC, so the CPC is a bit of a smaller conductor, which gives you some higher resistance through the LPE side of things as opposed to LN. But that's perfectly acceptable and runs alongside what we've got in our design and dead tests. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look around this one with me. We've tried to show as much of it in as much detail as we can, and again we're working alongside the other people on this project as best we can. So we've got some power on up here now for the builder. We've got the lighting as I've showed you. We're going to see how those Ansell lights play out over the fullness of time. We've been using them probably a couple of years, and to be fair, they're a bit hit and miss, much the same as lots of the other LED lighting manufacturers out there. Is a frustration for electricians trying to get stuff that does last for longer than a few years. That's the nature of the industry at the minute, it seems, with those kind of products. You can go to your GU10 cans and for LED lamps, but again, it's the whole swapping of the lamps when the customer wants a different light colour. There's all the issues in and around that. These give us options, and as long as we do get some reasonable lifespan out of them, the fact they plug in and out, I think that's a nice compromise to give a good outcome for the customer, and also to try not to be too wasteful with materials, but getting a bit environmental there, so we'll move on from that one. It is really good to see the progress up close on this one. It's mainly Matthew and Nathan who've been working away at this. I've hardly been here, to be honest. Working alongside the builders, the plumbers, they've got a really good working relationship here. This is why we've made an effort to try and get this up here sorted for the builder to make his life a bit easier while progress is moving along. And as we get further on with this and there's more plastering been done, kitchens going in and stuff, we'll come back and revisit it and show you this from start to finish. For anyone who hasn't seen it, we've got the very first video on this, which is the first fixed stage, showing the LSF cable going in and how we went about achieving that. And again, we've selected that because this is going to be a holiday let. We wanted to make sure it was as safe as possibly can be. It made a lot of sense to set it up in that way, and the customer was in full agreement. We've also got an EV charge point going in here at some stage, solar panels and battery storage in the future too, so there's lots of exciting things we can share on the channel around this one, and hopefully in a couple of years time we can all look back on it and see where it started and where it is at the end. Thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, as always, do drop them in below, and I'll see you on the next one.